let me get started. And I know since it's 9:15, we'll go ahead and get started with Chef's presentation. And it's going to be more of it's going to be a presentation, but it's also going to be question and answer because Chef has a lot of experience and a lot of expertise on working all over the world and all over the country as well, is teaching and coaching people on culinary. But the session you're in is teaching in other countries how to prepare for different cultures and different languages. My name is Ken Flowers. I'm the host. I work at Lake Michigan College. Chef Luis Amado, he's been our chef for the last 4 years, lead program instructor for culinary at the college. He has more than 25 years of college teaching experience. He's a certified executive pastry chef by the American Culinary Federation. Luis also owns Luis Amado Culinary Consultancy and offers in-person classes to professional chefs and culinary personnel in Europe, the Middle East, and Latin America. Take it away, Chef.
Thank you, Ken. Well, it's my pleasure to be here. When Ken asked me if I would be interested in sharing some of my I guess you can call it expertise, I couldn't say no to it. I rather than talk about culinary or techniques or things of the career-oriented stuff, I wanted to talk about some of the challenges and satisfaction that we as educators find when teaching people of a different background. I prepared this PowerPoint, which I may or may not follow very well, but of course, language happens to be, always a challenge. So, in order to establish, a best communication, in my opinion, I think is very important. The 3 L's. I remember when taking a management class many years while I was in college, listen, look, and learn. Oh my God, I just love those 3 L's, And one of the challenges we have communicating or understanding students whose main language is not, in this case, English, is that, when they're talking to us, we want it fast. Sometimes people go on this mood, like if you hear with your eyes, which I never understood why. But I think it's important to just know that when they need to express themselves, to just reflect a body language image that, okay, we're going to take the time to listen. So I think listening is very important to them and for us. A challenge that I have encountered when, as Ken was saying, I've been fortunate to be in the last 4 years. I probably visit 16 countries, from Argentina, Iceland, Dubai, Germany, Spain, and more. Relying on an interpreter. Sometimes the translator. You just one of the challenges I have is that to the point that I had to tell my translator, please repeat what I said, because I was in Dubai 2 years ago, and I was saying sentences with 5 or 6 words. And then I remember that the translator was going back and forth and speaking many more words than what I was saying. So the point of this, I had to now tell the translators to just repeat what I'm saying. In other words, if I say that, they have to say, in other words, if I say that, but in that language. Because sometimes translators interpret things, and the message, the idea of what the technicality of whatever you're teaching or want to give to the students can get lost during the translating. So I hope I'm making sense. The thing is that they needed to know that they just need to repeat in their language what I'm saying without interpreting things. And of course, I'm talking about technical translation, where most of the things I do are depending on temperatures and techniques and and instructions. Perhaps for diplomatic relationships, the translating could be somewhat interpreted, but not in technical. Establishing a bond with the students, I think that's important. And sometimes it's just as simple as, just smile. Doing eye contact is very important, I think. And you probably heard this already with COVID. I personally have such a difficult time because being in the hospitality business, we're black with that smile. So I tell my students, and I heard Mr. Woodruff, who teaches hospitality, now more than ever, that eye impression is very important. You have to talk with your eyes. But in regards to communicating, I was talking about establishing a bond. I think a bond is very important with people with another culture, and one has to know that while you may be a pat in the back, that may not be okay for people from another culture. If you try to shake a hand with your right hand, may be an offense for people from Central America. If you do eye contact for longer than 3 minutes, then 3 or 4 seconds, that may also be an offense. So that was always a challenge. But I think with people from another culture, it's important that we know find a way to keep a bond. The last one, I think, applies for everyone. Just keep the session interested, avoid being monotone, and just keep the passing of information, whether it's technical or written or any type. Just keep it dynamic. So rather than talking more, I'd like to give you a chance of talking back to me. Or
Yeah, is there any questions for Jeff? Talking about whether or not his experiences, Chef, for example, you're going, I think, to Turkey this year, right?
Right.
So how are you preparing? How do you get yourself prepared to go to Turkey, or what kind of time do you take prior to going to a new country to prepare for yourself for their culture?
I once I tried to learn a little bit of their language, even, which, by the way, Turkish has been the most difficult one. But I tried to write words of how to say "you're a wonderful group," which I remember how to say that in Turkish, and it's called Arika Group. And I throw this while I'm teaching my class to the people, and people applaud, and I tell them, are you following me? Are you? So I try to learn basic words, and then I throw them in it's like I was talking before, creating that bond. And a lot of times, just to show them that you're trying to learn their language or their culture, it helps open that bond that we need to have to as educators to do what we do, which is to educate others. But I do that. I also try to read about the laws, things that you can do in other countries. For example, in Dubai, I learned that you cannot walk around and take photos of public buildings. If you do, you need a special permit. So sometimes I get panic about things like that. And even if if someone is driving me, I'm careful taking photos, because every country has their own traditions, rules, etc. But I try to like the last 3 days to learn as much as their country. It's kind of like when somebody will come. I mean, before my other job, I had many people who apply for jobs to work under me, and then for my other college, and even here. And I will tell them, okay, what do you know about our company? And if they say, oh, honestly, I don't know if I want to hire them. So I feel the same when I go to another country. The least I can do is to understand their some of their national dishes, a little bit about their history. I think that once again, that puts them in a mind to receive your education better.
Jennifer, go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, Jennifer asked if I count on a local person. I do. I have actually an agent who is in Spain, and I have another agent in Turkey, and they basically coordinate all my traveling, my hotel stay, and they get 20% of whatever I charge to go and teach, and they usually check the background of the people who go pick me up from the airport and things like that. So it's usually I have to do everything very carefully, and I'll make sure I get paid before I go there, because I also had bad experiences where I teach a class for free for 3 days, and up to this point I never got paid. So I do try to screen who I work with, and most of the time the host in these schools, they go and pick me up at the airport, and most of the time they want to show me their culture and their country. There, I haven't had a problem, many problems. I mean, I had a few issues, but I do. I'm actually working. I'm hoping to do a fundraiser for next year and bring a couple of my student graduates. I have one student who's doing an internship next year. Hopefully, he can do the internship with me. So now that's my plan to bring students and expose them to these cultures. Absolutely.
And Chef, speak to one of the things that you on your slide. Speak to the different. Is there, when you go to work in a different country, how prepared do you have to be with a different technology and the different things like that than you are here? I mean, when you walk into those spaces, how different is it?
Yeah, well, perfect. Like in Turkey, for instance, I needed to access some of. I needed to print they call it dossier, a recipe booklet, right? Or but a dossier is the international name that instructional booklets get, and which I learned too the hard way. People ask me, "Do you have a dossier?" Which is spelled D-O. Let me just spell it here. Dossier. So I needed to access a computer, and to my surprise, the keyboard is different than what we have here. So while I was in Turkey, I was in this hotel, and they had a computer for the guests, but it wasn't working. So the front desk staff say, you can go back to the office, you can use our computer. So I went there, and they were so nice. They shared a desk with me, but I had no clue how to use the keyboard. So that was one technology issue that I know in the future I need to be better prepared, because even though they have public places that you can use their computer, the keyboard can throw you off. In regards to technology, expect to be back like 6 or 7 years. A lot of these places, they just don't have what we have. Like a lot of the kitchens that I go to, even though they're owned by multi-millionaire people, they just don't have the equipment nor the knowledge that we have in America. There are also black websites that need to be accessed. Exactly. There are many websites. I remember recently in Turkey, I needed to complete a Perkins purchase, and I spoke with my purchasing manager here at LMC, and I said, you know what? Let me give you the item numbers. I just go online. Well, I went online, and I had no access to the website that, better say, the website came, but there was like a disclosure saying that it was not appropriate to Muslim traditions. So I'm like, but it's just a food service industry website. But things like that was a a challenge. Um, Another thing that helps for me, using body language is very important when you cannot rely on technology. I remember just doing this tells people that I'm trying my best, but technology is not cooperating. The power of a smile, it's just fantastic, because I think people can always tell when you have a fake smile versus a genuine smile, and that always helps to to buy time and comprehension from your attendees when you have technology issues. Let me continue here. Another very important, well, two things. One, I mentioned it, to talk about to learn as much as you can about their traditions, what's appropriate, what's not. If you do something that is not appropriate, sometimes they know that you're an outsider, but you can get away with some things like doing eye contact for longer than 3 or 4 seconds, or shaking a hand. I remember this was in Abu Dhabi. We were handing out certificates at the end of a 3-day master class, which, by the way, that's how normally the people refer to these workshops that I do. They're called master classes because which I never liked that word, by the way, but that's how it sells, right? But anyhow, we were handing out certificates. So I will hand out the certificate. The host will give me certificate. Then the student will come. I will give the certificate, and then I will go hug. And then I had a hard time. The host will tell me, "Chef, remember, no hugs." So that was always a difficult thing, especially for me. But as I thought about doing this conversation, I picked this subject because, how do we check for understanding, which in reality, I think as educators, we want to be sure that they're following what we're teaching. So I think that especially when you're talking, when there's a bit of communication, conflict, I don't know if conflict is the right word, but when I ask students, okay, are you following? Am I being clear? That's another good way. Is because sometimes if you say, of course, this is just what works for me, guys. But if I say, do you understand? Do you understand might imply that okay, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe that's why he's asking me. I think. But if I say, am I being clear? To me, it's best, because that opens a more friendly way for them to tell me, no, you're not, or yes, you are. But if I want to make sure that they're getting the message, I will ask them, okay, can you show me? I will give them a knife or something so I can check for understanding, right? Or I will tell them, can you explain that? I will say, okay, is everybody in the class understands what I'm saying? And I can tell that some people do, some don't. I will ask the people that understand to explain it, and then they will talk. If they're vocal, they will talk, and then the people that say, no, I didn't get it, they'll get it. And sometimes even the translator cannot explain it, but if someone understands, then they explain it. So I hope that makes sense. To me, that technique has saved me so many times, because if I explain the same over and over, the people who knew it, because if I explain it too much, maybe I'll get them lost again. So it's best for someone in their group to explain it in their words, and it makes sense. Yes, Linda, absolutely, it does. It does. Yes, I'm glad. Thank you for your feedback. So as I was thinking, a lot of these techniques don't only apply for any scenario, right? My thing is that with people who speak a different language or a different culture, these techniques work even better, I think. Um, like I said before, you want to research their culture. Using visual examples, that's a great a point to the power of universal language, right? Those symbols, that's always I remember I I can't quite remember where, but I probably saw a video of a teacher teaching first or second graders, and he will ask, "Are you understanding?" And the second graders or first graders will have like a emoji, like a poster board, small, with a happy, sad, confused face, and you know. I'm fascinated to understand that, how that's what they use to show that they get a point. And it's like I always say, if I was not a chef or a chocolatier, I would probably love to learn more about pedagogy, and boy, we have the best position, the best job in the world as educators, I think. um, Another one, being aware of their terminology. Of course, that's a you have to understand. I remember having a student from a Middle East country. He said to me, "My head is paining, and paining," and I didn't know what. I thought it was painting, right? Painting, but the student meant that the student had a headache, so paining. So little things like that, it's English, but you just have to be aware of what they really mean. Um, Another one that also applies to any scenario, but more in this case, will be religion and politics. Why am I saying more in this case? But I think if especially on this a lot of Middle Eastern countries, if I make the wrong statement, um, I'm always afraid that maybe I can leave the country, or maybe I just have to be careful. So it's like going to someone's house. There are rules in your house that you can do, but there are rules in other countries that you don't want to. So for that reason, even here in my kitchen, I tell my students, you just, let's leave politics and religion out of the picture, and we're all entitled to believe what we want to believe. But um but yeah, it's just as a traveler, I have to be mindful of those scenarios, because even my wife tells me, it's like, I want you to come back, and I want you to come back safe, and it also helps, like one time, I like going to Dubai, and you got to be careful with what you bring in these countries. Like I didn't know that poppy seeds were prohibited. And here you have them, you buy a muffin and there's poppy seeds on it. But I guess you cannot bring those. Even if you bring like 1 gram, you can go to jail, because poppy seeds has an ingredient that, when combined with another ingredient under a certain process, can produce opioids, drugs. Um, so it's always interesting. Um, what also works for me is just displaying confidence. Even if if my presentation starts and I only have 1 minute to prepare, when it's time to go, the last thing I want is to sense a sense send a sense of insecurity. So always important to not to just be yourself and make it look like you're ready for everything, because the students, as you know, will feel that, okay, the instructor is rushing, the instructor didn't do his or her prep work. So especially with this with other with diversity students, yeah. So I like to pause on this and interact with you and get your take on any of these.
And Jennifer has a question in the chat.
Okay, I believe, Jen, let me read the question so it sinks better in my mind. Can you share what we can do better to assist an English? I think just rely to them, that make them feel that that you will listen to them without judging. I believe that's the best thing. Where or how or when, it's up to the teacher. How we gonna do that? I don't know, but I believe, in a nutshell, the best thing we can help people from another country, or from another culture, or in any scenario, is just make them feel that they can talk to you. And that's my best answer. A lot of times might be, hey, come to my office, pull up a chair, move the chair, and just come close to them, and the body language, and which, of course, you just have to be careful not to do a body language that might be offensive for them. But I believe just listening to them will be the best way that we can help them. Eh, as a professor, that will be the human being in us. In regards to technicalities, just use sometimes, remember, if they speak English, that was not their first language. So perhaps, instead of using, if you're saying there was a lot of people there, maybe use there was a number of people, or there was many people, or be careful with the words that you use in English, because they may not understand mannerisms very well. So that will be one way. Be mindful of their free time. A lot of people need time to pray multiple times during the day. A lot of people need time for just to be with themselves. So idioms, exactly, those idioms. And I tell you that by experience, because those idioms got me very confused at the beginning, and they were like roadblocks to me, and um, so yeah.
Yeah, we hired a gentleman to teach physics for us, and we had to find a space for him so he could pray at certain times before a class and then during class,
There you go. Yeah.
teaching during breaks.
Right.
And he had to, and I learned a lot about that through, he had to face a certain direction while he was praying, and
Absolutely.
he had to do certain things, and so we blocked off a space for him. And again, it's something that you learn and work with other people.
Right. And you go in many airports, they have they have smoking rooms on, but they also have praying rooms. And I believe also some places you have to have clean sanitized towels for them to do the praying. So it's just being aware of what they need, which I didn't know much of this. I mean, in the last 5 or 6 years, I have become more aware of that, and now I think I'm a better prepared instructor. I think there's always ways to improve, but like Ken was saying, they for a Catholic race, Mexican, like that's my background. We never know that you have to pray to a certain direction, and or the placement of a window, or things like that, or like in kitchens, Most other kitchens that I go to in Europe, especially Israel, they have like, a whole separate counter board for pork. I mean, not for pork, for beef, than chicken, and things like that too. Yeah.
What about food specifically? How much do you, if I know you wanted to focus on, you know, behavior, chef, but let's also, I mean, as you look at foods, how much extra preparation do you have to do to learn those different types of things? Of like you just mentioned, some countries probably you can't poppy seed or beef or pork. So how much preparation do you do for that?
Okay. No, normally, I take like one day just to go out and purchase things, and I learned that, when I go and teach about chocolate and ingredients and confections and things like that. I try to work with items that are easily available in most cultures. So I try to work with mainly, of course, chocolate is now available all around the world, but I try to work with, nuts, pecans, any type of nuts like that, fruits. I try not to work with alcohol whatsoever. In fact, a lot of the chocolates that I do, we use malts. These malts made out of polycarbonate, and traditionally these malts have to be polished with alcohol. But I don't do. I use vinegar instead, because if there's alcohol in the room, then people cannot use it. Muslim people, or uh, probably 80% of my clients in the Middle East. So I try to be aware of that, and on the other hand, I'm surprised that, a lot of these countries, especially Middle Eastern countries, they have. I don't have a problem finding ingredients that I normally found in United States. I think they want to, in a way, I don't want to say copy us, but you'll find Oreos, you'll find, Kool-Aid, you'll find a lot of things that you find in the supermarket here, which, I'm always like, oh my God, I have a hard time, because they have such a beautiful markets with spices, and food is like incredibly, is just incredible. I've never seen the better chicken breast than I've seen in Belgium, or in Switzerland, because they don't use, all these grow hormones, that we sometimes use in United States. So, the point, I think they don't value it as much as we. I mean, they enjoy eating good, and they do value food, but they don't appreciate as much as we do here, because here in the state, everything is bigger. Everything is like, uh, their value is a lot of times based on their size. Uh, I love over there, a little bit of tea, a little bit of coffee. Oh my God, that's better. And you come to the States, and everything. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. Look at the first thing in the morning, a large coffee. But yeah, I remember one time coming back into to immigration in Chicago. I was joking with a TSA officer, and we were talking food. And oh yeah, he opened my leg and he says, "What did you bring from the Middle East?" And I say, "Candy, chocolates." And somehow I said, I want a Big Mac. And he said to me, "Well, go ahead, one baby." And oh my God, that was like, I'll never forget what a welcoming sight. I mean, when the officer tell me, it's like, I wanted to say, "Where's your supervisor? You're making me feel so good." So,
Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah.
What is chef? So as you're looking at this overall experience, how has it helped you with your students in your classroom today that are different? So not just necessarily different from an international perspective, but just coming in differently. So how has it helped you teach your classes here in the States?
I I think by being able to see the world from different angles, uh, it helps me uh, put in their I don't know what the word is in English, but it helps me make them appreciate all this abundance of things that we have in United States. Because I often share, when I was in this country, we were trying to make caramel with a beat up all aluminum pen that was used for 10 years. And here I got 15 of those pens. So I tell them how much we got and how lucky we are. So I think that and they can tell that I'm giving them real experiences, which as an instructor we cannot lie to the students. They will tell if we're not being honest about our experiences. And so I think that made me. I hate to talk good about myself, but it made me a better person. I think it makes me understand of their value some things that I like about the students in this country. Not that I don't like other things, but um, it makes me feel better that I can, always come a little bit closer to them and give them a pat on the back. Um, it, it just makes me love my students more. I guess.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
I'm reading this message from Pam. You can also or colleagues something along. Yes, like Pam said, we can ask the students, help me understand if there are ways that I can support your experience in my class. I found the most appreciative admission. Tell me what I may know. Exactly, right. Um, I think that, just I remember one I had when I was a student, like 28 years ago. uh, there was one instructor who was a for respect, I don't want to say the word that me and others, well, I didn't come up with a name, but another, in the classroom, we knew that instructor as someone who will exaggerate things, who will say, been there, done that. And um, and it's probably the last of my preferred instructors. I learned a lot from him, but things what not to do, let's put it that way.
Right.
So I think that eh, just for them to know that, hey, we don't know the subject is better than trying to exaggerate or cover what we don't know. So it's very true, Pam. I sometimes hate to say I agree, but I agree on this one. Yeah. If that's the thing. It's just not teaching. Or I remember my life changed in the last 4 years, since because I'm more of a teacher here at LMC. I teach, but previously I was a program director for 20 some years. And I will ask my instructors who teach under me, how's the classes going? And they'll say, well, I share the recipe and everybody's working on it. I'm like, well, yes, but what happened is you got to make sure that there's a follow-up, there's assessment. I will say there's a thing called assessments, okay, how we do it. And I think there was always room for improvement on that. I think that um, uh, there's always, it's important. I think that closes the circle. Check to understand me, making sure they know the subject. Not just give the subject. Linda says sometimes a negative role model can be as valuable. Exactly, Linda. That's exactly it. My one instructor. I always I don't want to be like that instructor. There are things about that instructor that oh my God, it was just very good. But there are things that you don't, because And I just graduated from that college, and I see things that we were lied to, and well, but I'm glad that you agree.
Chef, one of the things that that you're like you're
Excuse me.
if the students are understanding you, how have you seen that if you go international, different ways that people show that they understand or that the assessment works? Do you have to kind of assess things differently in different cultures, or provide them feedback differently, a positive feedback, or even that in a negative feedback? So how do you correlate that differently?
Okay. Yeah. Well, in regards to like positive feedback, where I'm lucky in a way that what I teach is technique based. Tactical is something that basically um, uh, you just have to be able to replicate by hand. And a lot of times they learn by watching me work, and then I will say, okay, I did this technique. Now you show me, and that's a way where how I can make sure they understand. A lot of times, I do have students who simply, I know that it's beyond the language. Simply, they, I don't see a lot of future on their work doing, in this case, what I do. I just try to tell them to try again and try again. I kind of become a psychologist, and I just try to you know I hope I'm understanding. I'm saying it right, but I try not to give a negative. I don't want to say uh, uh, you'll never this. I don't want to go
Yeah.
to extremes. I just tell them keep on working, try harder, or I just try to keep them motivated, because the one thing I don't want to is ever tell them this is not for you, because you just never know. I mean, I tell you, in my experience, I know very successful award-winning chefs who were doing dishes for many years. And a lot of like the dishwashers, like in the industry, they're treated very disrespectful, especially by chefs. They always eat leftovers. They never eat steak. When I go to other countries, I take care of the dishwashers. When they were working for me in the industry, I'll give them filet mignon, because they are you just never know. And a lot of them were, like I said before, they just needed an opportunity. And that's one of the reasons where I work now. I'm in an area where I don't have students, uh, that can afford a $30,000 a year career. But boy, a lot of these kids, they just want someone to believe on them. So I'm sorry if I talk too much, but
Oh, no, that's perfect, Chef.
it's thank you. It's just it's always be giving a negative assessment can truly affect them in the long run. That's the one thing. It's like, I think as instructors we have to be careful that we can, if we make the wrong statement to a student, we can affect their life, because a lot of times their parents don't give them a compliment. I had students, they cried with me. I'm not kidding you, because I tell them you're doing a great job, and they say, well, I never heard that from my parents.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's when I stop and say, that's what I still teach, and I will teach them till they are done, because how lucky we are that. But at the same time, we got to be careful if we make we just have to be aware that we're given um, a very powerful tool as a teacher. So,
No, that's great, Chef. So we are at it is pretty close to 10 o'clock. So, Chef, thank you so much for providing this feedback for us. If anyone has any questions after they think of after the fact, reach out to me. By all means, we'll be here all day. Thank you, Chef, for your time today.
thank you,
Um,
Ken.
for me, it has been a true blessing to work with you the last 4 years. and to continue to work for you. And so everyone have a great day and have a great rest of the conference. Thanks again. Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye again.
Yeah.
Bye.